Y'all ready to party? Hi, I'm Melissa Wells, and you are taking the Atomic Starburst Quilt class at Myrtle Beach Quilt Party. I'm so excited to have y'all in class. I wanted to come to you ladies and tell you a little bit of what you need and try to get all of our things cut out and everything ready before we get to class. So I have a little slight things that I found out this morning, so I had to redo the video. We have two different patterns. Fun. Teachers just love this. Anyway, this one was the original one, and it is 62 by 66. Now, I have no idea what pattern y'all have. This one is 66 by 73. It doesn't really matter what pattern you have, except for my materials list told you to get 4 yards because the pattern only calls for 3 and 3.75 is what she has on here. And the new pattern says 5 yards. Big difference. So actually, I think you would like the one with the 5 yards better because it's a little longer and it's not short and squatty like me. Anyways, so I think it will actually make a really nice quilt if you do the long one. Now, the short one is fine if you've already bought your fabric and you're ready to go with that one. Not a problem. We are going to use either one. It's the same exact size as far as the diamonds go. It's the same size as far as the stars go. So that is not a big deal. It's just we're going to add more background fabric to the bottom and the sides a little bit. So I want to show you really quick what your layout will be. This is the new pattern, which is straight across. It has no little zigzaggies. This is the old pattern, which has little diamonds, and you cut it straight across. So what she's done is she's just filled them in so we don't cut them off, and which is a very smart idea. I actually was not going to have y'all do the little diamonds and cut them off. We were going to cut them off ahead of time. So all that being said, I hope I did not confuse you at all. But whichever pattern you have is going to be fine, and we're going to go with it. Okay? So I just wanted you to know that there's 2 different pattern sizes out there. If you bought it earlier, then you might have a smaller one. If you bought it later, you might have the bigger one. Now, if you have the smaller one and you want to make it the bigger size, just let me know, and I will, I'm going to contact her and make sure it's okay that I give everybody that page that I just showed you so you can add on to your quilt and make it bigger. Okay? So there you go. So, all right. So let's get down to some business. The diamond pattern. Let me get that pattern. Let's see what I do with that. I probably put it right in here. Yep, there it is. Okay, this piece. This is your diamond template. You need to cut this out. You can cut it out of template plastic. That might help you cut your diamonds out. You can cut it scrappy. You can have 30 different ones. You can have 3 and 3 of all kinds of different colors, patterns, fabrics, and make it, a little more than 1 each, which is fine. This one I did during COVID. So it's what I had in my stash. And as you can tell, some of them I have 2, some of them I have 3, some of them they're all over the place. So it really doesn't matter. I love both of them. This one was a nativity. I love the stars. And so I wanted to make another Christmas quilt. And this was a nativity pattern panel, but I actually just cut the panel apart. And so I have the nativity, and I have the wise men and the little animals. And so that's what this is. So get creative and make it your quilt. So it'll be fun. The only other thing I wanted to tell you about, when you print these off, if you buy from her website and you're printing it off your computer, you want to make sure that this is 3 inches. It has to be 3 inches for everything to come out right. Okay, so your actual stars also has this little template down here, and it's very important that you get it 3 inches. If you don't, your stars and everything won't be the right size, and it won't come together like it's supposed to. All right, so that being said, so the diamonds, you're going to cut however many you want. It's your quilt. You do what you like, okay? So my next thing is I want to, sorry, I have everything on my table, all organized. All right, so the next thing I wanted to show you was how to cut out this template with the stars so it's a little easier. You can stack some together, 5, 6, 7, whatever your scissors will cut. So what I want you to do is take a pen, and I want you to pop it on the table so they all line up. Stick a pin in the top hole right here, and then take another pin, stick it in this one on this end. Now I want you to go through the layers and just make sure they all end up in that spot. Take your pin and stick it through every layer so it's in the same spot on both pins. And then what you're going to do is you're going to take a staple gun and staple it. And you're going to make sure you get one on either end. There you go. So now you can cut it in half, and you might want to pop another staple in if you need to, and then cut out the template, and then take this little staple remover, remove your staples, and then you have your patterns, and you don't have to cut them out all at one time. I mean, you can cut them out all at one time, not individually. So after you get that done, you're going to have this piece. And I'm hoping you can see this, but I want you to fold it on all of the lines. Every single one of the solid lines, get a fold. And this is going to help you when you start paper piecing and you start cutting it back, and you're going to fold it over and trim it, and you already have your fold in your paper. And this you can do at home. It's going to be so much easier if you do this little step. Just take you a piece of cardstock. Those little things that fall out of the magazines that get all over the place, those are great little tools to use for this. So you're just going to lay it on the table, of course, put your cardstock on there, bend it over, crease it, and just do that to every single line. So you have a crease in every line. So that's what those are going to look like, and you want to do this on every one. Okay, so I want to talk to you about foundation paper while we're here. Some people might not have foundation or paper piece before. So this is Carol Doak's foundation paper. It's just real thin, like newsprint. And so some of us use this kind of paper to print their stars for paper piecing. And some people just like computer paper. I've done both. I haven't had a problem with pulling paper off the back after you paper piece. So whichever you have on hand is perfectly fine. It all works out. And so let me see what I got next for you. Oh, this is the biggie, big biggie. If you don't get anything else from this little video that I'm crazily doing, I want you to get this. Are you listening? Come back. Woo! Okay, so I have been, as you can tell, a lot of this quilt is on bias. And you know how bias is, stretchy, stretchy. So what I want you to do, please, please, please do this step, okay? What I want you to do is take your fabric, even your diamonds, before you cut them. If it's just a scrappy piece or whatever, I want you to starch the bejeebies out of it, okay? You know what the bejeebies is? To death. So I want you to wet your fabric with starch. Now, I tried some different starch just because, let me take my glasses off because I'm getting a glare on that. So I've tried different starch. I've tried our wonderful Best Press, which I love. I went to the store because not everybody has Best Press, and some stores, some fabric stores are still not open. So I wanted to give y'all an alternative. I went to the store, got Magic Sizing. This is not a starch, this is sizing. And this is starch. It's pro starch. So if you want to be a pro, maybe you should use this can. So I've used all three. These were about $2.19, which is very reasonable. I got these at Kroger's. I don't know where else you can find them, probably anywhere, but they're in the laundry department. So this was really good. I want you to take your fabric and I want you to saturate it. I want you to saturate it on the front. I want you to turn it over and I want you to saturate it on the back. It needs to be wet, wet. Not that you pick it up and it drips, but just wet, like every piece of it wet. And then I want you to not iron it. Do not iron it. You lay it out, let it dry till the next day. Yep, you got to wait a whole night for it to dry. And then you can take it to the ironing board and iron it and press it. It gives it this really nice hand. It's still very pliable, flexible, but it stays and it's nice to cut like this. And we are going to need it for your paper piecing that's very crisp like this. So don't skip this step, okay? Whether you use Best Press or the starches or the sizing, doesn't matter. I didn't really find that all three of them were almost the same. So they didn't leave any flaky stuff or anything after you let it dry. All right, so do that for me. That is really going to help you a lot. Okay, so we talked about the paper piecing and starching your fabric before you cut anything. The only thing that you don't have to starch fabric-wise is your little stars. Okay, your star fabric you do not have to starch. The star fabric in the pattern, which I'm assuming is the same for the new pattern, I didn't even look, but you need to cut it 1.25 inches, not an inch. They have it cut 1 inch in the in the pattern that I got, and it's just a little bit too small in some places. It does work, but just to give us a little wiggle room, cut it 1/4 inch more. So it's 1.25 inches. Now, somebody asked me already if they could cut it into pieces because maybe you don't have a long strip and you want to just cut pieces. Yes. Cut pieces. You need 8 pieces and they need to be about 6.5 inches long. So it's for each star. Okay? So 8 pieces, as long as they're 1.25 by 6.5-ish, you will be fine. Okay, whether it's in a strip or pieces. Some people just have scraps, and if you're like me, you're trying to scrap bust this year. So anyway, so that works. So, all right, so let's see what else I got for you. All right, got that. Okay. Now, in your materials list, it said in there nothing about cutting the 5-inch strip, which makes these diamonds, these blank diamonds that you see here. Had to figure out how. So these and the white ones on my quilt, the materials list didn't tell you anything about that. So you can go by your pattern. It's 5.5-inch strips out of your background fabric, and then you can from the strips, cut the diamonds. I'm going to say I would like for you to start with just 3 strips. It says in my pattern, it says 5 strips, but I'm not sure how many the new pattern has. But if you cut 3 strips, that's probably as far as we might go a little further. You know, we have some of those busy bees that's like to sew all night. But if you cut 3 strips and cut your diamonds, however many diamonds you can get out of 3 strips, then let's start with that. Okay? I don't want you to cut up your fabric and then not need it. So let's start with that, and then we'll go from there. So cut your background diamonds, and it'll say in your pattern 5.5 inches. And then take your diamond template and cut your background fabrics from that. All right, let's see what else I wanted to tell you. I'm going to try to take you down without making you sick. And I want to show you how to make some templates for your paper piecing. So hang in there a second. They're not totally clear, but that's okay. We don't need them totally clear. So what I want you to do is tape your piece to the plastic. And then I want you to go around it 1/2 inch wider. Can you tell that's 1/2 inch? So I just made a dot here and a dot there and took my ruler and went across. But you have to have 1/2 inch all the way around or it'll be too small. Okay, and we definitely don't want it to be too small. If you've ever paper pieced and had to rip out because that piece was too stinking small, then you know what I'm talking about. This way, they're not too small. You just need 1/2 inch all the way around each one of them. Okay, so then I did that. Make sure you mark them what number it is. I just used a Sharpie. Bring them all over here. Okay, so I just used a smart Sharpie and put them all down. Now, this piece of material would be your background fabric. This is not in your materials list either. So I cut it 3.5 inches wide. Okay, it was easier to cut a strip of fabric 3.5 inches wide and put my template plastics on there versus cutting, just using a big piece of fabric and trying to cut all these out. So I could layer my strip 3 to 4 layers deep. Put my plastic on here, even if you had to put a little piece of tape on the back to hold them down so they don't move, that's fine. And then you want to line up all of your template plastics. Let's see if I can do this one-handed. There's a way they go on here that they get everything all nestled up together, so you didn't waste very much fabric. And yeah, I'm not doing such a good job at this right now, but you get the gist. Okay. There we go. All right. So, okay, so I've got them all on there. Now, just remember, this is just half of your star. And this one you have to do twice. So that just gives you this one piece. And you've got to have 2 of these for 1 star. Now, if you will just cut these out, and if you can do at least 5 stars to get started for class, that would be really great. If you want to do 5 stars to start with, that way if you feel like you need a little more fabric, or you'll know what you're, get the gist of everything, and you might want to tweak some, that will be fine. But at least do enough for 5 stars. And this is 3.5 inches. It worked great. Now, I don't know how many 3.5 inches you'll have to have out of your fabric, but that's what I did. Now, let me talk to you a little bit about some tools that you'll need. I know you're going to need another ruler, but it is the best ruler ever if you're going to do paper piecing. It's an 1/4 ruler. I've had these forever. If you can see on there, it says 1/4 ruler. Now, these are pink. They come in different colors. I've had these for a long time. The 6-inch size is this is the biggest size you really need. You don't need a 12-inch size. You just need one. And the 6-inch side works wonderful. Now they make them where they're really wide, and that's even better because you don't have to worry about holding your fingers over here while you're cutting. But an 1/4 ruler, whatever size you end up with, will be wonderful. All right, some pens. I use glass head thin pens. Let me get my little guy over here. I like them. They're really thin. I don't really care if it's glass head or not. It can be, let's see. Isn't my little guy cute? I had a student make him for me last year, and he's so cute. I just love him. Anyway, these are the Flathead flower head pens, and they're fine too. They come in fine also. But we're going to be putting together bulk, and I don't want you to have a lot more bulk with your pens. So if you have some really fine pens, that'll be great. You're going to need a pair of just scissors, trimming scissors, and I want to talk to you about feet. This is going to be important. Most sewing machines have feet like this. You can't see in the hole very well. And you're going to be sewing on a really thin line. Let's see. Woo! Yeah, I just made you dizzy, didn't I? Sorry. Y'all have to get me back in class, I guess. So see, it's really a lot harder to see to sew on that real thin line. So if you have an open toe foot, you can see how much better you can see with that open toe foot. And also, a clear foot works really great. I love the clear foot. That's what I like to use. But if you don't have a clear foot and you have an open toe foot, that works great. If you only have your regular foot on your sewing machine, then we will make that work. Okay? So don't worry about it. All right, your next thing is you're going to need a rotary cutter next to your table. And they recommend the 28, especially if you're not used to paper piecing, because you're going to be cutting on that little ruler, very small little space. So this works really great if you have a number 28 millimeter is what 28 millimeter. And if not, then a 45 will work. You just have to be careful. Please do not use a 60. It's just too big. So a 45 millimeter or a 28 millimeter works great. Now, you know you're going to need your very best friend. All right, so don't be leaving that very best friend at home. So if you haven't bought a new very best friend in 20 years, please do yourself a favor and go buy yourself a very best friend, a new one. You want something that's going to be really sharp inside, and so when you touch that stitch, you just want it to pop. You don't want to have to be digging in it or anything like that. So get you a nice, sharp, thin, that it's skinny on the end. That's what you're looking for, okay? And your next tool is going to be school glue, washable school glue. As long as it's washable, it's going to be fantastic. You can use quilter's glue. It comes in the little quilter, little skinny little things. That'll be perfect. I'm trying to do this left-handed. Maybe I need to flip it over to my right hand. Oh, yeah, that's better. Okay, so this is, oh, look, my friend Lyle. I miss him so much. Okay, well, anyway, these are called, these are like, oh goodness, what are these called? Y'all have that right on the end of your tongue, don't you? An iron, a wooden iron. So when you're paper piecing, a lot of times you're going to be getting up every time you sew a little line. That means you're going to be getting a lot of exercise, or you're going to need to finger press or have some kind of tool to finger press those seams. Okay, so that's very handy because you're going to have this beside you and you can just do a finger press or an iron press and keep going. If not, you're going to be the skinniest person in class getting up 1,000 times and pressing in between. Anyway, so they make them in all different shapes, sizes, just like people. And they have some that have a little wooden rollers on the end, so work really well. I just don't happen to have one here. Even the, oh goodness, what are these things called? You know what I'm talking about. Anything that will press your seams flat works great, okay? Anything besides your finger, because after a while, your finger will start to hurt. Take my word on that. All right, so the next thing is just a mat. I want you to have like a little smaller mat so you can put beside your table. I think we're going to have a table to ourselves this year because we are social distancing. I'm not positive about that, but I'm pretty sure that's the way it's going to go. So, so you'll need a small mat to put beside your table. This one's a 17 by 11. And just as long as you have enough room to cut with your paper piece, this is as big as you're going to need it, whatever size that is. You're also going to need a 6.5. I think this is a 6.5, might be a 6, whatever. Doesn't matter how wide it is. If you have a short one, that's going to work really well beside your table, so that will be great. If you don't have a 12-inch one, then bring whatever you have. Bring your long one. It'll be absolutely perfect. We're going to make whatever work. You don't need to go out and spend a whole lot of money on extra tools. So I'll just... Okay, so I think that is it. If you have any questions, please, on the top of the materials list, my phone number's there. You can text me. Usually text works best. If you call, sometimes I don't get your call. If I'm in a building that has metal, I don't get a call. I can get a text though. But anyway, or you can email me at thehappycottage@gmail.com. I would love to help you any way I can. I'm looking so forward to being able to get out with people. So that's it. That's all I have. And if you have any other questions, just let me know. Bye. Can't wait to see you in January.